And the owner of the BostonSportsJournal.com. This is Sean McAdams' place. You've heard Sean talk about this great sports media deal, and Ray Martell loves it too. So Greg's going to tell us what's going on up there in New England. Greg, well done. Nice to talk. How are you today? Okay, pal?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Chris.
You got it. First off, I guess this, and the ESPN, acknowledged it, so let's not pick on them, but these rumors have been circulating up in Boston, friction between the three of them for a long time, correct?
Yeah. This it started to come to light about a month ago. I mean, basically when, the whole Guerrero thing's been in the background for a while. We didn't exactly know what was going on, and then we were able to flesh that out a little bit. And then I think the real tipping point was the Garoppolo trade. I mean, to not entertain any offers in the offseason when his trade value would be the most, and then all of a sudden to change face and deal him for a second-round pick, things just didn't add up. And so that got a lot of us digging and, give credit to Seth Wickersham of ESPN for really putting it out there. But, yeah, I mean, that's sort of where the genesis was. And at this point, I don't think it's quite as dramatic as they made it out in the ESPN story. But is there friction behind the scenes between the three of them? Yes.
There is. All right, that's number one. Number two, do you think Brady went to Kraft and went above Belichick's head to get Garoppolo out of there?
No, that absolutely did not happen. The way I was told, basically behind the scenes, there were three different factors when it came to Brady. The first was that the Patriots didn't deal Garoppolo in the offseason when he was going into a contract year. That somewhat made Brady a little agitated. Then the Guerrero stuff. And then also there was the whole thing about Brady's contract where, we all thought the rumors is that after the Super Bowl, pretty quickly they were going to come to a new deal, 3-year extension, it's over and done. That never happened. So you combine Garoppolo, Guerrero, and the contract, and the three of them, and Brady was a little uneasy about, all right, in his mind, he's always thought, there's a chance that Belichick's going to trade me. And, those three things, he put it together, and he's like, to me, it looks like they're setting up to trade me. So, Brady and Kraft had a bunch of conversations where Brady was, questioning, where the loyalty was, why he didn't have more security, why he didn't know whether he had a place on the 2018 Patriots team. And he never said anything about Garoppolo or wanting him gone. But, I think Kraft at a certain point said, you know what, Tom deserves our loyalty for what he's done, taking less money, letting us build a team, win 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. And Kraft took it upon himself to say to Bill, you know what, it's time for Jimmy to go. We just got to start over again.
And I understand that with Kraft. I mean, Brady has done enough there in New England that he can call the shots when he wants to retire. Now, Belichick has done enough, too, where he can call the shots, but the problem is he's not bigger than Brady. Even Belichick, Brady is number one because he's the player, not the coach. So as a result, Kraft's got to side with Brady, correct?
Yeah, I think the thing that people are sort of missing here is that I don't think the way I understand it, Belichick never he never really thought ahead. I mean, as far as keeping Jimmy, he just wanted to get through the season. I mean, he doesn't know he's got a 40-year-old quarterback. What happens if Tom Brady blows his Achilles out in the divisional round and he's gone until November next year? What's he supposed to do? What if Brady gets in a car accident in late March? I mean, he just doesn't know. So he was just putting it off as long as possible. The likely outcome was that Garoppolo was going to be tagged and traded, but Belichick just wanted to buy him enough time, enough data. I mean, what happens if Brady goes out there and he's terrible in the divisional round, sort of like Favre in 2007 with the Packers, and it doesn't look good. I mean, Belichick just wanted more time, and Kraft just accelerated the process. And I don't have a problem with that. Brady, especially once he won after the 2012 AFC Championship game with the Ravens, Kraft went to Brady and said, "Look, we're not going to have you around if you're going to be 20% of the salary cap. That's just going to happen. It's not going to happen. So it's your decision. You want to take less money and be secure, or do you want to leave it up to Bill?" And so Brady made a choice, and he took less money for the benefit of the team.
And he gets credit for that forever. I give him all the credit in the world. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks wouldn't do that. I don't know if Peyton Manning would do that. A lot of quarterbacks wouldn't do that, and Brady did. So he gets credit for that. Do you think right now, if there is anybody who leaves, it would be Belichick? It would be Belichick. And now that the Giant job is opened, and he loves Mara and vice versa, could you see a situation in a month where actually Brady stays, Belichick is a little fed up, time for a departure, and the Giants hire Belichick as their head coach? Could that happen?
Not the way I understand it. I mean, I'm never going to say never, but is Belichick irritated that he had to make a decision on Garoppolo before he was ready? Yes, but I don't think it's anything more than that. The way I understand it, everything's still professional, everything's still on course, and I think once these guys get a little bit of distance from the season, I think everything's going to be water under the bridge. They're going to realize, you know what, we're still in a good situation. I think in my mind, there's no doubt that all three of them are back, and they're doing the same thing again next year.
Well, you think so? Despite the fact the Giants, a little special place in Belichick's heart, they have a second pick in the draft, which should be a big quarterback. Brady played barely in a playoff game, and the two coordinators left. Maybe one goes to Indianapolis, one goes to Detroit. Belichick sees an opening to go work with the Giants. You don't see that as a possibility?
No, I mean, I really don't. I mean, look. At Belichick's age, he's going to go someplace else, have to start over with a new owner, new staff. I mean, he's got that place entirely wired. He's got the place in Nantucket. I mean, he's got his sons on the staff. It's his own fiefdom. I mean, he has it wired, and largely he's been able to do exactly what he's wanted to do. And so, I think Patricia has the best chance of leaving. McDaniels, I still don't see a real good landing spot for him. I mean, does he really want to go work for Irsay? I mean, I think the Tennessee job, if that comes open, with John Robinson, formerly of the Patriots there, and Marcus Mariota there, that's a better possibility. But right now, I don't think Josh is going anywhere. You don't? Interesting. All right, we keep an eye on that. Greg Bedard, of course, editor and owner of the BostonSportsJournal.com, and it's good to have him with us here on this busy afternoon. Listen, Brady has had some slippage lately. He did not play great in the last 3 or 4 weeks of the year. I didn't even think he was that great in Pittsburgh. He is not going to go on forever. Could you see Brady now in the downturn of his career? I know he thinks he's going to play till he's 45. Nobody in the history of the NFL at that position ever has done that. But I know that he's done everything else unconventionally, and he's proven us all wrong. But could you see this be the beginning of the end of the Brady greatness up in Foxborough? No. I mean, Chris, the last 5 weeks have definitely not been the normal Brady stuff. But for me, a guy who watched the film and has studied this team for years, to me, it's all about, what's going on around him. I mean, not having Edelman. I mean, he hasn't had James White or Rex Burkhead out of the backfield. Malcolm Mitchell is a guy who could come back. He hasn't had Hogan. I mean, what he's had out there for the last month, it's not the same usual Patriots offense. They've had to make a change. It's been more deep drops, more deep routes, because that's what they have to use. And it just doesn't look the same. But I still think Brady is the best quarterback in the game, and I think he will be for at least another couple years. Yeah, but he didn't have Gronkowski last year, and he didn't miss a beat. So I mean, well, I know, but he had Julian Edelman, and he had that short, quick passing game option. He doesn't have that. I mean, even Gronk is a down the field receiver. But I'd rather have Gronk than Edelman myself. Gronk's the best tight end in football, and he's a big play guy. Edelman isn't. Give me Gronk. If you give me a choice right now, one or the other, not even an issue. Give me Gronkowski. Well, I don't know. They won a Super Bowl with Edelman and without Gronk last year. So. Well, I get that, but they're also 13-3 this year without Edelman again. So I mean, and let's face it, Gronkowski is going to the Hall of Fame. Edelman is not. Well, that's absolutely true. I think what this proves again is that you can still win a Super Bowl with either Edelman or Gronkowski. They can't win one without either of them. That I'll buy. We'll have to. All right. How about the trainer? I've heard a lot of people tell me that this guy's a quack. What can you tell me about him? Without laughing. Go ahead. He is definitely, and let's see. Well, look, he's caused problems. You could make. I mean, look, I wrote a couple weeks ago. I mean, there are people around the Patriots who refer to him as Yoko Guerrero because he's just introduced dynamic that hasn't really been good for anybody except Tom Brady and, Gronkowski this year, his work with him. And it's just been, it's caused issues. It's irritated Belichick. And, as far as his practices, I'll leave that for others, medical experts. But look, it works for Tom. But, as far as the team-wide thing, I think Bill made the right choice that they all have to stay on the same program.
And how much did that bother Brady that he took away his field access and his locker room presence and all that? Brady couldn't have been pleased, right?
No, it definitely made him uncomfortable. It has definitely been a factor in what's gone on here the second half of the season. But, at the end of the day, Tom's a big boy, and he'll figure it out.
All right, well, let's. I'll paint a picture, Greg, and you help me out here. They play lousy in a playoff game. Take your pick which one. Not in the Super Bowl, but they play lousy in a playoff game. Brady is very spotty. Somebody walks in there, whether it's Pittsburgh, it won't be in the first round, I wouldn't think. But let's just say somebody goes in there.
Kansas City or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and takes care of them, and Brady's lousy, and the Patriots go out and end on a very sour note. How do they get it straightened out for next year? A 41-year-old quarterback showing slippage, not as good as he was. Everybody annoyed that Garoppolo looks like a Hall of Famer at the 49ers. How do they move on from that and go on to next year?
I think they look at the film, and in my mind, if that happens, it's because they weren't good enough on the front seven. That they couldn't get all these weapons that they have been missing for the last month. They couldn't get them all on the same page and just flip the switch, and things still looked iffy. And they just have to, come back next year, reload in a couple spots, and they just keep going. I don't think there's any ramifications. I think that's just football.
Greg, one thing about these weapons, we're making it sound like he's got nobody. He's got Dion Lewis. He's got the best tight end in a Hall of Fame.
Gronk and Dion. That's it.
How about Cooks? Cooks makes plays. How about Cooks? He's made big plays for them all year.
Cooks. Now that especially when Gronk hasn't been out there, you see that Brandon Cooks is an ensemble piece. He is not a guy that you can rely on your own. The problem, one of the big problems, has been that spot where last year they had Malcolm Mitchell, who Brady had enormous trust in, who played a huge role in the Super Bowl because of his ability on hitches, comebacks, back shoulders. Those are key throws. Brandon Cooks just can't do that. He's a take a top off the defense type of guy, and that's it.
I tell you, I've seen him make a lot. I've seen him make a lot. He beat Houston by himself. I have seen him make a lot of big plays.
That was Brady's play. That was all. Was Brady's play.
Again,
he looked off the safety, pump faked him, threw it in there with pressure in his face. That was an all-time Tom Brady throw.
Well, you know what? He'd be a big-time receiver for a lot of teams. He's good. He gets.
He is not. He's not a number one. He's not.
But they got Gronkowski. They don't even need him to be a number one. They got the best tight end in football. Gronkowski is by far the best player.
That is fair. But Brandon Cooks is not a guy that you can third down. He doesn't run routes all that great. He's not one of these guys that it's third down, I'm going to Brandon Cooks. He's not that great over the middle. He doesn't catch screens that well. He is basically all right. Play. We're going to run play action. And the safety's going to get sucked in, and Brandon Cooks is going to run a post by him.
He's averaging. He's averaging 17 yards a catch. 17 yards a catch. He's got 66 catches. I'd have to look on all the other receivers there, but again, they got so many other weapons. He's got 65. He's got 65 catches at 17 yards a catch. That is not 13 yards. 7. You give me a wide receiver in the NFL who's averaging 17 yards a clip. I bet you Antonio Brown ain't doing that. I bet you Antonio Brown's about 13 or 14.
Antonio Brown can catch a variety of routes.
Hey,
he can catch the whole route tree. Brandon Cooks cannot.
He's also got 7 touchdowns. This guy's had a good year. All of a sudden,
there's no doubt about that. No doubt.
I'll go through the numbers game by game. You want me to do that? What did he do against Pittsburgh, the most important game they played all year? He had 7 catches, 60 yards, 15 yards a catch, and a touchdown against the Steelers. He played well against them. What is he? Come on, he's done a nice job.
You like your fantasy football, don't you, Matt?
I don't play it, Greg. I swear to God. If you gave me Dion Lewis, and you still got Amendola, and I don't love Amendola either, but he's still on a team. You got Gronkowski, Amendola, Dion Lewis, and Cooks. And Brady, that's a hell of an offensive team.
It's not bad.
Does Jacksonville have an offense? Does Jacksonville have an offensive team?
For points, which they have. Brady and McDaniels have made everything work. I mean, I'm not saying they're the sisters of the poor here, but it hasn't looked at not having that short, quick option in Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Troy Brown. It's just made things look a little bit different. I'm not saying that they're bad or anything. It's been different, and it's been a bit of a not a struggle, but it's been a little bit tough on Brady down the stretch.
All right. Bottom line is, though, you think this is, although there's some truth to it and there's some friction, you think when all is said and done, they will be back next year, the three of them?
Yes, I firmly believe that, and we won't even notice that much has gone on.
And you think that McDaniels will stay?
Yeah, I mean, if you could tell me what's going to happen in Tennessee, I might have a different outcome. But as far as the jobs right now, maybe Indianapolis, but that's about it.
All right, and the other guy will go where? You go to Detroit?
Detroit. That's what I think.
All right. If, in fact, I'm right, and there's a chance that Belichick would go to New York, would Kraft ask for compensation?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, without any doubt in my mind. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he would ask for the moon, like, back with the whole Jets thing and, Curtis Martin and things like that. But, yeah, I think they would be entitled to compensation. But, of course, nobody knows what Belichick's contract is like except for Kraft and Belichick.
Fascinating. I think there's more to. Maybe I'm wrong. You say not as much to it, Greg, and I trust you. So that's you got me through an hour. Let's look at it that way. Well, well done. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it today. Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks, bud.
You take care. That's, of course, our pal there, Greg Bedard, up there in Boston. I'll say one thing. You know what? 17 yards a catch. You put him on my team. Antonio Brown's about 13.5. Put him on my team. We continue here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Don't go away.